What's up, everybody? It's Luke James, not the singer. If you're looking to get your music reviewed, you can hit up this email that's right here. But today, you were tuned in to an episode of The Rundown where I give you the rundown on some of hip-hop's latest releases. Now, I do have some more full reviews coming up. Obviously, Tyler, the Creator, is dropping very soon, so that'll be getting the full review treatment. And we'll see what else is coming out, because I know Meek Mill is dropping something as well, and people are going to be talking about that. But right now, we are going to jump right into this one, starting with Royce da 5'9's mixtape called The Bar Exam 4. And honestly, I don't really got to say too much about this because you already know what you're in for. This is just an hour and a half of Royce da 5'9 smashing some industry instrumentals. You'll hear him killing beats like Magnolia and Mask Off. And I really appreciate that because with those songs, you don't really expect a lot of lyricism coming from Future and, of course, Playboi Carti. But Royce is showing you that you can take these beats and still come with some bars. He is just absolutely snapping all over this project. And I find it really impressive how he's been in the game for so long and is still able to come up with all these bars. Because I came up listening to Royce since I was in high school and shit. And he's still out here destroying these beats. Now, you are also going to get some nice features on here. There's a Slaughterhouse Posse cut, as well as a song featuring Elzhi and Nick Grant. So this is just bars on top of bars on top of bars, man. That track with Nick Grant and Elzhi in particular, they just body that shit, man. They kill the track, it's pets, it's family members, they burn the house down, they go all the way in. So if you're a fan of bars, you like Royce da 5'9, and you want to hear him showing you how to spit, this is what it is, man. A 4 out of 5. Usually when someone gets on other people's beats, I don't care, but Royce is doing his damn thing, and he killed it. Up next is Zero's supposed last album called No Love Boulevard. Now, if you're a fan of Zero, like I am, right from jump, you are going to appreciate this album because he's not really doing anything out of the ordinary. I would still say within the past probably 5 years, Drinkin' and Drivin' is some of his best work. That one actually dropped last summer. And he did drop another project between Drinkin' and Drivin' and this one. It was called Legendary. It was pretty solid as well. And I would say this project right here is up with that. As usual, you're getting some bangers, some smooth tracks, and a lot of infectious hooks. And of course, some of that Zero humor where he's just ripping apart baby mamas, trifling bitches, and his enemies. It really is just the same old for Zero, so I'm not going to rate it too high, which is why I'd go with a 3.5 out of 5. I think anyone who's a fan of his sound would agree that he's just been so consistent over the years, because he's like 20 years or something deep in the game, and every time he drops, I like his music. So if you're a Zero fan, definitely check this out. It has some really great tracks like Belong to the Streets. This hook just stuck to my head like jizz on a Kleenex, so that's pretty damn sticky. So I hear, not that I would know. I mean, who uses Kleenex? I would use a sock. I mean, what? I'm just saying it's a sticky hook. I mean, it's a catchy hook. It's a goddamn catchy, infectious hook. You're going to get plenty of them on top of here. But if you're not a fan of Zero or you're not familiar with him, I would suggest you check out some of his other work, including Drinkin' and Drivin', and, you know, some of his older ones as well. You can ask me and I can let you know. Third up on the list is Lil Wayne's EP, In Tune, We Trust. Now, when it comes to Lil Wayne, if you've been watching my channel by now, you know my standards aren't that high at this point. I just want to hear him rapping his ass off and not auto-crooning all over any of his damn projects. And with this one, you do get a little bit of auto-crooning on the track Fireworks, but I still fuck with it because you get this spacey Mike Will Made It production and a nice Jeezy feature. But for the rest of the tracks, there's only, I believe, 4 or 5 of them. He's actually just rapping, and he sounds pretty damn good. I think he was killing it on Loyalty, and he did his damn thing on the Magnolia freestyle as well, where he tied in some of Manny Fresh's flows from Everybody Get Your Roll On. So that was a cool little throwback to the Cash Money days. But overall, this really wasn't a fascinating project, certainly wasn't trash, and I would just go with a 3 out of 5. It's very short, there's not a whole lot to be said about it, but he does mention the Carter 5 a couple of times, so now we just got to sit here and wait and see if that's actually going to happen, because at this point, that shit is basically the new Detox. Either way though, I'm just glad to hear Lil Wayne doing more rapping than auto-crooning. And I don't mind auto-tuning once in a while, it's just that with an artist like Lil Wayne, he has such a good rap voice and distinct style without it, so when he puts the auto-crooning on, it just seems like a pointless crutch. It's like using crutches when you can walk already. So I can understand on hooks here and there, maybe a verse here and there, but on some of his past projects, he is just dumping the auto-tune all over there like Dame Dash would do with bottles of champagne on big old titties. Shout out to the Big Pimpin' video. But moving on from big titties, which isn't always an easy thing to do, we come to Toro Y Moi's album, Boo Boo. This is actually an album I was really looking forward to hearing because I've been a Toro Y Moi fan for a couple of years now. He's been known to mix his sound up. I mean, his last album, What For, had a bit of an indie rock vibe, and before that, he messed around on his other projects with a lot of synthy, electro stuff, so I was curious to hear what he was going to do here, and I really appreciate the sound he did bring on this album. It really does just have this 80s aesthetic to it. It's very wavy. You might even call it some retro wave or vaporwave shit, at least on some of these tracks. So it's perfect for just laying around on a Sunday, doing dishes, or something like that. At least that's when I found myself listening to this project the most. I especially like that single, Girl Like You. There's another great song in there called Mona Lisa and Mirage. These are all just three very atmospheric and wavy tracks that fit nicely with his soft and gentle singing style. And these are the moments I think showcase Toro at his best. However, there were a couple of tracks on here that I didn't really care for. The song Pavement is just this very minimalistic track that doesn't seem to go anywhere. There are some very dull vocals on Don't Try. And then on the songs Windows and Inside My Head, he is just overdosing on auto-tune, man. And just like I said with Lil Wayne, Toro has this very distinct singing style, so when he puts the auto-tune on, it just seems like he doesn't need it. It really makes him sound like everyone else who is doing that same type of shit. In fact, I would say those tracks kind of reminded me of 808s and Heartbreak. They're not all-out awful songs. I just don't think Toro really needs to auto-tune like that, but you know what? To be fair, he is actually auto-tuning a little bit and using some light vocal effects on other tracks, which I didn't think was so bad. It's just these couple of tracks were a little bit too heavy for me. But overall, I would still go with a 3.5 out of 5 here. I think this is a very dope project, and this came together after he went through a really bad breakup, so you will pick up on some good songwriting as well, like on the song No Show, where he actually brings up how his ego sort of pushed his girl away. So this is a really dope project, and if you're a Toro fan, I don't think you're going to be disappointed at all. But this next album is an album that did disappoint me just a little bit, and I'm talking about Twista's recent release called Crook County. Now, I do consider myself a Twista fan. I still got Kamikaze in my car, and I bumped that album on the regular. But this shit here really didn't have anything new or interesting going on with it. He's still rapping his ass off, and we got to give him respect as one of the legends and pioneers in regards to those double-time rapid-fire flows. But this one just kind of seemed like he was going through the motion and following trends. Going through the motions, I should say. Not just one motion, a couple of motions. Because what you're going to get here is a lot of typical content, braggy, trappy type of shit. You're going to get some hazy bangers, some trappish bangers. So, you know, this just really seemed like an old artist who's been around for a while, trying to keep up with the current sound of things, rather than trying to change the game or make something classic like what Jay-Z just did. Of course, I'm not trying to say Twista is on the level of Jay-Z, as much as I do have love for Twista, but this really just felt like a paint-by-the-numbers album. You got your weed-smoking track called Happy Days, the Baddest Bitch anthem called Baddest. Let me look here. There's also a track with Jeremiah called Next to You, and then, as I said, a bunch of generic, braggy trap tracks. So sonically, there are some decent sounds here. I mean, if you just want something on in the background or something that you can bang and turn up in the car, I think you'll fuck with some of this. But this is definitely the type of project you could miss out on, and I mean, you could skip out on, I should say, and you wouldn't really miss anything because there's nothing too new or interesting happening here. Really, the only track I fucked with a bit was Mortuary featuring Vic Spencer. I just thought Vic had a really solid verse on here, and you're also getting some nice wavy, soulful production. And the song Can't Be Me is another one I appreciate because Twista is just going in about his legendary status and everything he's been through in the game. As I said, he is a legend and a pioneer, so I totally have love for Twista as far as that goes, and you know, he's put out some great music in the past, but this album ain't it, and I'm gonna go with a 2.5 out of 5. It's not trash, it's not great, it sounds good enough, I could understand why people might like this, but again, if you really skipped out on this, you're not gonna miss too much at all. And lastly, we have this album from French Montana called Jungle Rules. Now, going into this one, I was very skeptical because it's 18 tracks of French Montana and it's loaded with features, but there actually were a couple of moments on here that I liked. As much as Unforgettable just sounds like a bit of a one dance knockoff, I thought it had a pretty solid beat to it, and Sway Lee is still showing his skills as an upcoming hook master. And the moments where French Montana is just rapping are actually half decent. I just cannot stand all these tracks on here that are generic, trappy tracks with boring content, just filler as shit. French Montana doing his sing-songiness and auto-crooning. I swear to God, you could take like 9 or 10 tracks off this shit and it would be way, way better. So obviously I'm not ranting and raving about how good it is. But coming back to the moments that I did like, Bring Dem Thangs has this really dope Harry Fraud production, and French actually has some decent flows on here along with Pharrell. So this is a song I could see myself having in rotation. Unforgettable I probably wouldn't have in rotation, but if it came on at a party or a dance or something like that, I could fuck with it. And we gotta give love to T.I. for absolutely snapping on Stop It. This one does have sort of that generic 808 banging ass sound that I talked about, but T.I. just kills it, so it really uplifted the track. Even Whiskey Eyes is a pretty decent song on here. You got Chinks coming in on this with some street narrative, and I do like that production with the vocals that are going throughout. It really does have a wavy and sort of whispery feel. But other than that, there weren't too many tracks on here that I loved, and I think it's the features that did a lot of the work, including The Weeknd on the track A Lie, which also had a little appearance from Max B, the Silver Surfer. So it was kind of cool to hear from Max, because I am admittedly a Max fan. I love some of those old mixtapes he dropped back in the day. But moving on with this album, I'm going to go with a 2.5 out of 5 because there are a couple of tracks on here that are pretty damn good, but god damn, this shit is just so long, overstuffed with features. So many of these songs have the same type of content, the same type of sound. It just, you know, French Montana obviously isn't trying to make a classic or an amazing album. He's just trying to give you some bangers, some fun tracks, some catchy shit, which he definitely came through with. So I can appreciate him for that, but I ain't gonna go higher than a 2.5 because if I only like a couple of tracks out of an 18-track album, it's really hard to rant and rave about it, at least in a positive light. But there you have it. That's all I got to say about these projects. I'll probably have another episode of The Rundown coming up like within a week or so because there's so many albums I missed that you guys want me to talk about, as well as mixtapes and songs. And I will be doing some full reviews. Tyler, the Creator, is dropping. Meek Mill, as I said. There might be a Trey the Truth project coming out, so that might get that treatment, or it might be in the rundown. I don't know, but thank you for sticking around and supporting the channel. I'm going to continue doing all these videos that I do. Your support is greatly appreciated. So hit me up in the comment section with your thoughts about these projects, and make sure you do all that YouTube and social media stuff. You already know by now, man. Show me love and show me lots of it. So thank you for watching, everybody. I will see you next time.